Hi, so I'm Halima Mahomed. I work as an independent researcher and consultant, and I spent all of my life working in all of my working life in the philanthropy field. As time goes by, you start to question the system you're in, and you start to think about what works within that system, but also what within that system is constraining and inhibiting the actual outcomes and the actual idea of a just society that you want to see. And so I've been doing a lot of work, especially in the last several years, around how does philanthropy need to be different? And what is the role of philanthropy in advancing a just society? And for me, I think the role of philanthropy is to be in solidarity with people's agency, especially the agency of those who are marginalized, silenced, who've borne the brunt of disadvantage, deliberate disadvantage. And so I bring that to Active Bumbano. I mean, I don't have a formal relationship with Active Bumbano, but for me, it is a space that is thinking very critically about what is the role of resourcing and how do we do solidarity differently? How do we bring together different spaces, different assets into a collective conversation where we can advance an agenda that is grounded, an agenda that emerges from people's lived realities. And so Active Bumbano really is a space that's experimenting and walking by doing. It may not have all the answers, but none of us have them. But I think it's really a space that is showing an alternative, not just in practice, but in ideology. Because I think that the transformation we need is an ideological one. It's how do you position your role as a resource provider? And traditionally, that role has been philanthropy comes in with strategies and ideas and impact frameworks and a perspective on what that change needs to be. And we know that that has not worked. And Active Bumbano comes says, let us get together. Let us talk about what our lived reality is. Let us think about what the priorities that are emerging from that lived reality. How do we have collective conversations around what do we do about those challenges? And what does a solidarity agenda look like from all of the people involved in that space? And so I think that's really dynamic, a dynamic approach from Active Bumbano, but it's also an alternative approach to resourcing and solidarity. I think that spaces like Active Bumbano are the future of how we need to be thinking about solidarity. There is no one model. There are different alternative models, but certainly the kind of model that is being developed by Active Bumbano is something that should be a critical component of thinking through doing things differently. I think traditionally our spaces have not opened up to a broader civic space, right? So how we define civic space has been very formalized and professionalized. And spaces like Active Bumbano and others have been challenging that and saying, how do we bring in the lived realities, irrespective of your institutional form, into a collective conversation? So I wouldn't just stop at CBOs, I wouldn't just stop at movements, I would think about what does community organizing spaces look like? What are the other civic formations that exist within our work? And so I think that there's an extreme value for spaces like this that bring in different perspectives, and they don't necessarily have to agree, because part of our problem has been we bring together people who think like us, and we don't open up the space for debate and discussion. And so a value in a space like this that comes in without an agenda, that comes in without a predefined thematic outcome, but says this is a process, and the value is in the process. The value is in bringing together these perspectives to see, to judge, to act, to develop iteratively and from a grounded perspective up is I think, really, really important.